Hi there, this is Tata, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Monday, August 12th, 2024, and tonight I'll be talking about Monday Night Raw, and I'm not alone. Joining me for this is Michael 101591.
How you doing, guys? Always a joy to be on Datila's channel and reviewing shows with her.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure having you.
Oh, good. You're welcome.
All right, let's kick things off talking about the main event, the 2 out of 3 falls match for the IC title, Bron Breakker versus Sami Zayn. So I actually really like this. I thought this is a great match. Like, I can't even complain that it took a long time because personally, I feel like it would have been great if just Bron Breakker just beat the crap out of Sami Zayn and just end it this quick. But this was actually a really great match,
Yeah, I thought it was a very good match too. There were points in the match where you almost got to believe that maybe Sami Zayn was going to win back the Intercontinental Championship. But obviously, that's not the case. I mean, Bron Breakker just won the title. You don't want to take the title off like that and hot potato the title. I mean, that's not a good way to go.
I think some of my favorite spots in this match was when he did the Frankensteiner to Sami Zayn. When Sami did the sunset flip powerbomb. And then when Bron Breakker sent Sami Zayn into the timekeeper's area.
That was one of my favorite spots in the match there. That timekeeper spot.
Yeah. So overall, I thought it was a great match. And I really like the finish. The finish to this, that spirit mid-air to Sami Zayn.
Yeah, that was very good as well. I mean, that it just showcased how much of a beast Bron is and how over he is.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the Raw exclusive, but there was a Raw exclusive where at the end of the match, Sami Zayn stands up and Bron Breakker and him kind of like stare at each other. And then Bron Breakker just walks by Sami Zayn, just like staring at him showing respect to Sami Zayn.
I did not see that.
I just saw it right now before we went live. So overall, great main event.
Yeah, but we all knew the outcome. What was going to be it?
Yeah. All right. So tonight's Raw kicked off with the Rhea Ripley promo, and Mommy, yeah. I actually really like this, and I like when Liv and Dom appeared, and I like Dominic's explanation. Him saying that, that she tried to change him, and that it was embarrassing to have a grown woman calling a grown woman mommy. And now that he can do whatever he wants, he can play video games and all this other stuff. It's a really great opening segment.
I thought Dominic was going to be like to Rhea that Liv, she's my papi. Like Eddie Guerrero be like when he said to Dominic back then, like, I'm your papi.
Io saying a very reasonable explanation, Dom. Yeah, I mean, how do you guys feel about Dominic's explanation?
I thought it was a nice explanation. I'm glad that we got an explanation as to why Dom turned on Rhea.
Yeah.
If this was Vince still in charge, we would have got no explanation.
I like that Liv brings up the fact that she's basically taken everything away from Rhea. But as usual, they use the opening segment to set up the opening match. Damian Priest pulling an Undertaker and doing that whole meme here. But this ultimately leads to Damian Priest attacking Dominic and then Carlito attacking Priest, which leads into Damian Priest versus Carlito.
There was a meme going on social media where you had Damian Priest in the background with Liv Morgan and Dominic, and on the side it had the Shield and Kurt Angle in the back of them at a TLC pay-per-view. I think it was 2016, 2017.
2017. Yeah, I remember that. That was the year that they had 3 illnesses that year. That time.
Mm-hmm.
That time. He upgraded to a blonde in bro terms. Okay. But Damian Priest versus Carlito really didn't do much for me. And then at the end, yeah, Damian Priest was victorious. And I like the fact that Finn Balor was left alone with Damian Priest and JD, saved him. But I will, and Rhea attempted to do a riptide on Dominic. But I will say this: I dislike the New Judgment Day's booking. I dislike it. I know it's too soon, so to speak, for anybody to complain. I guess for me to be complaining, but the fact that they already started losing and how two people, Damian and Rhea, can conquer the New Judgment Day, it kind of reminds me of when Becky was able to conquer Damage Control when it was 1 versus 3.
Yeah, that's not a good sign. And good.
My concern with this new group, I feel like Priest and Rhea will walk all over it before it's exactly like, not. Do you need to be a serious threat? Maybe new members or something. Exactly like, I mean, when you look at the way, I guess the original Judgment Day was booked versus this one, the original Judgment Day, they were a threat. They had strength in numbers. But now it seems like, how can Damian and Rhea overcome Liv, Dom, Balor, and JD and Carlito? You get me?
I feel like it's easy for Rhea and Damian Priest now.
Yeah, so that's just my one little issue. Hopefully this doesn't continue, but if it continues, the New Judgment Day is not really gonna be taken seriously.
Yeah. And the match with Priest and Carlito, I thought was very mediocre at best. I know I sent you a message earlier saying that WWE is going to change up the Judgment Day's name. This is possibility on WWE that the new Judgment Day's name, get this, it's going to be called possibly Street Trash.
I hope that's a joke.
I really do hope that's a joke.
Rhea could face Dom and Liv 2-on-1 if she wants. That's true, she could. Speaking of which, we're going to get ourselves a mixed tag team match at Bash in Berlin. It's going to be Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest versus Liv Morgan and and Dominic Mysterio.
Am I excited? Meh.
In my opinion, Dominic and Liv should win that match.
Obviously.
So we get Ivy Nile segment. And I thought this was an interesting segment between Ivy Niles and Maxine, because Ivy Nile has up until this point had yet to turn and join the Creed brothers. But it was really interesting how she was trying to convince Maxine not to be out there with them. And then at the end, she kind of puts her hand on her hand and was like, that she knew she was going to say that. And she just kind of walks away. So I felt like that was a hint of what was to come later on in the night.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a good segment.
I thought it was a good segment as well.
So we get Uncle Howdy, Bo Dallas. And some interesting things that he said is that something is happening, something big, and the other door shall be open. So that kind of piqued my interest. I wonder where they're going to go with this.
I want to find out who the next target that the Wyatt Six are going to, do, because they had a very good match at the end of Monday Night Raw last week where they defeated the Creeds and Chad Gable. So I'm really looking forward to where the Wyatt Six end up going after their debut match last week.
I have a feeling, I think I know who their next target might be, but we'll talk about it when we get there. So the next thing we had was a New Day segment. And one interesting thing I noticed about this is that, Kofi Kingston's all happy and excited that, oh yeah, they have Odyssey Jones and they should scratch his back since he scratched theirs. And you could tell Xavier Woods was just kind of like, okay, he was just kind of going along with it. He didn't really seem happy. He had like this fake smile on his face the entire time this segment was playing out.
Yeah, because there are points where he's like, like that.
Yeah. So this leads into Odyssey Jones versus Vincent Whinnying. I don't know who this is. I've never heard of this guy. Apparently he's from NXT. Apparently he's from NXT. I don't watch NXT on a weekly basis.
I've never seen him in one match on NXT.
So
he must be one of those catering guys that they just have down there and never use, because he hasn't even had a TV match on NXT.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this was an enhancement match, as we all know.
To get Odyssey Jones over to show how, good he is in the ring.
Mm-hmm. And so Final Testament interrupts. And again, Xavier Woods is talking about wanting a tag match, and Kofi Kingston interrupts and gets a 6-man tag match instead of a tag match. And you could kind of tell Xavier Woods is just not happy, that Kofi Kingston interrupted him. So I think this is going to lead... Huh?
The cracks are forming.
Yeah. I definitely do think this is going to lead to the New Day splitting up. Now the question is Xavier... I guess if you want to turn Xavier Woods' face, then what you do is you have Kofi Kingston turn on Xavier Woods. But if you want Xavier Woods to be the heel, you have Xavier Woods attack Kofi Kingston.
I think
what do you think the likely scenario is going to be here?
Xavier Woods attacking Kofi during the other match. And that's going to get
lose?
the Final Testament to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where it's going. I don't see Kofi going heel.
Yeah, but
it's all building up towards. It was all building up towards Xavier, turning heel, because they teased it, a bit, where Karrion Kross was saying, "Oh, join the Final Testament," and then Xavier's like, "No," and then they kind of put it off to the side, and then they brought it back here, and they're building towards that.
The final testicles, Kofi. That's funny. But I think it'll be interesting if they go with Kofi being the face, because he's got an Odyssey Jones. He could kind of do the typical, Odyssey Jones is his bodyguard type of thing,
Yeah, because it would make no sense for Kofi to turn heel. So if they went with that, what do you do with Odyssey Jones? He'll be back on, he'll be back in catering.
I just said, if Kofi is the one that turns heel, you can use Odyssey Jones as a bodyguard.
Oh, I didn't catch that. I was just thinking all these scenarios in my head about what they would do.
I don't know if I want New Day to break, but what are we going to do with Kofi and Woods? I feel like the New Day did everything they could as a tag team. They're the only tag team that has been together for more than 10 years.
And they held the tag team titles.
They held the tag team titles. They were the longest reigning tag team champions, even if it was out of pettiness. What Big E's? I don't think Big E's coming back. So what is there left to do for them to do?
Yeah. I always thought that, I said it last week in my review, that I would see Odyssey Jones be the new member of the New Day, and that would be a good replacement for Big E.
It wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do, All right. So Drew McIntyre, questions Adam Pearce as to why Randy Orton is getting a title shot after being screwed one time. And Pearce tells McIntyre that Punk also isn't there due to travel issues. So, Drew McIntyre brings up a good point. Like, how many times has Drew McIntyre been screwed, and Randy Orton over here got screwed one time and he's getting a title shot? He's not even on Raw.
Yeah, Orton's a SmackDown guy.
But before this, was it this segment or the other one where Adam Pearce was talking on the phone? It seemed like something was supposed to happen that didn't happen. I wonder, and I saw someone tweeted this out on Twitter, but what if they trade Randy and Jay? Like, Jay goes through SmackDown and Orton comes to Raw.
There's been talks about that, of like possibly Jay going back to SmackDown, and then you have Jimmy, come back, they reform, and then we get, the old bloodline, where Jimmy and Jay side with Roman Reigns, and they take on the new bloodline. I think that's going to be your Survivor Series War Games match.
Well, I mean, I feel like a trade has to happen, because that's the only way you're going to get Jay back on SmackDown. So you have to trade him for Randy Orton, which is eventually going to lead to the reunion of Jimmy and Jay and the whole blowout. But that's for SmackDown.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
We had a Texas Tornado match, Alpha Academy versus American Made. I actually thought this was a fun match.
This was a very fun match. I really enjoyed it, and the crowd there seemed to really enjoy it as well.
Same.
It's very rare to see a tornado match in WWE.
Did you hear the crowd was chanting "You suck" when American Made was coming down?
Yes. I'm like, this brought back vibes of Kurt Angle's theme where they would go, "You suck."
Now, Otis, before the match even starts, Otis has a stare down with Obafemi, who is the North American champion. Obafemi is, in the brief times that I covered NXT on my channel, I've said Obafemi is a star. He is a
Obafemi,
beast.
I really enjoy.
You know, Obafemi versus Ivar was great. Just imagine Obafemi versus Otis.
I would see that.
Him tossing Otis around.
I think we're going to be getting Obafemi versus Otis down in NXT because, you know, when Otis was making his way into the ring, he had that little stare down. So that's going to be a tease. Maybe we're going to get that on NXT very soon.
Unless it's a red herring and Otis isn't the one answering Obafemi's open challenge tomorrow. So anywho, Chad Gable was in the Olympics. He was in Paris. Io Sisterity owes Gable big time for putting over the Whites. Can see big things from American Made. Yeah, they definitely do. I could see them taking the tag titles here.
The one thing that confused me, like when they showed that video, Chad Gable, he was like, "I'm in Paris, you know, at the Olympics." And I'm like, the Olympics were over on Sunday, unless they shot this last week and they just broadcast it tonight.
Maybe. So during this match, Ivy Nile attacks Maxine. She puts her in a Dragon Sleeper on the announce table, causing a distraction, and American Made wins here. Now, Michael Cole making a reference to Diamond Mine. If you can fill people in on Diamond Mine.
Diamond Mine, of course, NXT was Datila's favorite tag team.
I don't even watching NXT.
Nah, I'm only kidding.
Wasn't that Roderick Strong, the Creed brothers?
Yep.
And I can't remember who else. So, but it was really good. It was only a matter of time before Ivy Nile was going to join them. Yeah,
it was Diamond Mine was Roderick Strong and the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was only a matter of time.
Roderick Strong wasn't in the group.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Stokely
he was. Yeah, he was a former member of the group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like around 20. He was in it 2021 to 2022.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. And Stokely Hathaway was in it too. And he was known as Malcolm Bivens.
I remember that. I think I remember that. All right, so Pete Dunne gets interviewed, and one of the things that I like about this is that he blames Sheamus for that terrible nickname that he had, which of Butch. And he kind of questions what happened to Rich Holland. I mean, Rich Holland got sent to NXT, and he never wants to hear the name again, Butch. So I think this was a really good interview on Pete Dunne.
I thought it was a good interview too. I mean, I would be pissed if Sheamus, if Pete Dunne was like, "Oh, I don't want to remind myself of that name again." Butch, did he really look like a Butch? The only reason why he was given that name was because of Vince McMahon.
Oh yeah, we know. Okay. But I like the fact that they're that he's accusing Sheamus of giving him that nickname. So we get a Bronson Reed segment. And, it appears, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, he's a good GM. He really is. But he needs to get control of his show. Yeah. Nick Aldis has more control of SmackDown than Adam Pearce does of Raw.
Little by little, we see how good Nick Aldis controls his roster on SmackDown. And Adam Pearce is just letting the roster run wild every Monday.
I mean, right here, for instance, in this segment, Bronson Reed legitimately told him he was going to go, to give him what he wants, he was going to go find another victim. He didn't even find Bronson Reed for what he did to Seth Rollins. And yet, Adam Pearce did nothing here.
Adam Pearce just gets, a lot on his plate. Where he's like, I don't care. Let them do what they want to do.
So I like the fact that Damage Control cuts a promo in Japanese. Really love that. Then we also find out that Sonya Deville's faction is called Pure Fusion Collective.
Can some people ask us, what does a Pure Fusion Collective mean?
I think it's interesting here that only the factions get names, because every women's tag team apparently cannot have a name. It has to be a faction. Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark, when they were together, it was just Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark. They didn't have a name.
They didn't have a name.
Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair don't have a name. It's just Jade and Bianca.
That shows how much they care about the women's division.
Alba Fire and Isla Dawn are the unholy union, but are often just referred to as Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven don't even have a name. So I guess only factions can have names, but not tag teams.
It shows how much lazy booking that they booked the women's division.
Oh, this is what you wanted to talk about. So Dakota Kai is out for 8 to 10 weeks. Damn, she can't catch a break. Yeah, that sucks for Dakota. WWE confirmed that she had tore her meniscus.
Yeah. That's a shame about Dakota Kai.
Yeah, it is. And speaking of Dakota Kai, I think she's going to be the Wide Six next victim. Because remember, they said they were targeting people who turned on their families. Chad Gable turned on Alpha Academy. Dakota Kai turned on Bayley.
Mm-hmm. I think Dakota Kai is going to be the next Wyatt Six victim.
But it's going to be interesting because it's probably going to be from Nikki Cross. All right. So this leads into a number one contenders match. Zoey Stark and Shayna Baszler versus Damage Control Sky Pirates. So I thought this was a pretty decent match. The Unholy Union came to watch. Of course, match ends in DQ, and we're going to end up getting a triple threat next week for the women's tag titles.
I don't care. I don't care anything that's going on with these women. It's just so uninteresting. This is my bathroom break match.
Which is unfortunate because they're all very talented women, but I feel like WWE hasn't really done much to make us care.
They don't know how to book. They don't know how to book the women's division. They don't know how to book unless if you're Bianca Belair or Bayley or Charlotte Flair. Any of those three, they push to the moon.
They're trying, Oh, I brings up a good point. Cool to see Candice Michelle in the crowd, yeah.
Miss GoDaddy. Remember back in the day, Jerry the King Law was like, whenever she was in the ring, and she did that like twirls, he'd be like, GoDaddy.
So we're gonna Miz segment, and R-Truth basically gets him a match with Braun Breaker here. Let me see. Problem is the lack of serious contenders.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true. So R-Truth ends up getting the Miz a match with Braun Breaker, which Miz is not happy about. And let's just jump a little bit ahead and talk about that match. So the Miz versus Braun Breaker. The Miz versus Bronson Reed. Sorry.
Yeah, the Miz thought that R-Truth booked him in the match against Bronson Reed, but Miz was like to R-Truth, well, Bronson Reed's facing Sami Zayn tonight. And then he goes to the TV and he's like, oh, Miz versus Bronson Reed. This is the guy that killed Seth Rollins last week.
Yeah. So obviously, I think this is gonna lead to the split of the Awesome Truth. Because I think the Miz is getting tired of R-Truth putting him in these situations. I mean, because of R-Truth, they lost the tag titles. You know, he was always getting them into odd situations, and I do definitely think this is going to lead to the split of the Awesome Truth. They only came together because of the storyline with Judgment Day and to give Truth the WrestleMania moment, but I think it's time that they're going to split them up.
And that's the reason why Bronson Reed delivered 5 tsunamis to R-Truth to take him off TV.
6 tsunamis.
6 tsunamis.
And it was interesting that Truth saved the Miz from those tsunamis, but Miz didn't bother saving Truth from those tsunamis.
Yeah.
And another example, and this is another example that we mentioned earlier, like Adam Pearce could not control. Nick Aldis would not have let that fly.
No. He would have had extra security and officials out there.
Yeah. No joke. I thought Bronson Reed was going to tsunami Adam Pearce. They kind of teased it.
They did. And, you know, it's the same thing that they did to, it's the same thing Bronson Reed did to Seth Rollins last week. And if it continues, if Bronson Reed continues to do this week after week, it's going to get old really fast.
Yeah. Where's security team? They could have moved Truth away from Bron. That's true. They could have, and they didn't.
R Squish should be his name, or R Flap.
So we get a Randy Orton promo, and I actually really like this promo. Randy Orton talking about becoming the youngest world champion in history. He was only 24 when he won the title at SummerSlam in 2004. So Bronson to stop ain't working. You know, so I really like this promo. And then the fact that like Gunter comes out, and this is a really great segment. You know, you had Drew McIntyre also come out. It seems like Drew McIntyre was probably going to attack Randy Orton, but CM Punk came, I guess I think he came through the crowd, and he attacked Drew McIntyre. Then, you know, Punk ended up whipping Drew McIntyre with McIntyre's own belt. And this was an overall great segment.
And this is a tease that at Bash in Berlin, we might get a strap match between CM Punk and Drew McIntyre.
I could see that after this.
Either I predicted maybe a bull rope match or a strap match. I think it's going to be a strap match. That's going to be your stipulation.
I could see that happening after this.
And then their next match, which will happen at Bad Blood, I think it's going to be Hell in a Cell.
That would be great. And then I like the fact that Randy Orton hits Gunter with an RKO, because remember what he said last week, that he would be able to see it coming, and he didn't.
And they booked the match for Bash in Berlin, but we all know the outcome of the match that's going to happen. Randy Orton's not beating Gunther.
Oh yeah, he's definitely not.
Yeah, but if like Randy Orton won, he would take the title to SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
But if Gunther won, he would stay on Raw.
Yeah.
So they were kind of playing it up into thinking, oh well, Randy Orton, if he wins, they're going to go to Randy Orton's going to go to SmackDown and take the World Heavyweight Championship. It's not the case. That's not happening.
I honestly think Randy's going to say, or Ron J's going to SmackDown, like we mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. Daniel saying, hey there, I hope there are no more earthquakes in your area. I thought Raw tonight was great. And there's no more earthquakes. You know, Rita Repulsa, how convenient. Rita Repulsa is trying to escape from her dumpster as we draw closer and closer to Power MorphaCon. Good to know. Yeah. But thank you for asking. No, there's no more earthquakes. We didn't get any aftershocks.
That's good. Prayers for everybody in California, including Datila.
Thanks. So we got a Sheamus interview, and I really like how he brings up the fact that Pete Dunne is trying to make himself relevant by using his name. You know, and in the middle of this, like, Kaiser interrupts him, and then Dunne attacks him, and like Pete Dunne is just looking at Kaiser like, you know, and he just walks away.
Yeah. it's going to be a good match when it happens. I mean, you have Pete Dunne focusing on two guys that he's feuding with: Sheamus on Raw and Trick Williams in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that they're giving all this to Pete Dunne. You know, have him feud with Sheamus, and then in NXT with Trick Williams.
So we're gonna see him Punk interview, and we find out that Punk lied. He didn't have any travel issues because he, as he confirmed, he was on the same flight with Kathy Kelly.
He's doing that to Drew McIntyre.
He brings up the fact that he's figured out a way to make everyone happy. I wonder what that can be. Maybe, like you said, maybe it's a strap match.
Yeah, that's definitely where it's going to possibly head.
Because think about it. I mean, he'll be happy the fact that he's getting another match with Drew McIntyre, and Drew would be happy that he would get his hands on CM Punk and has a chance to like hit him with the strap.
Mm-hmm.
I, being a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, I would be thinking that Supreme King Jaden was using a super promise to cause an earthquake. Okay, I didn't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, so you gotta fill me in on this. I've only seen the original Yu-Gi-Oh!
Same as me.
But if you're a Pokemon fan, maybe somebody was teaching their Charizard Earthquake.
Yeah. Also, rest in peace to the actress who voiced Misty
and Jessie.
Yeah.
Season 3 of what? GX or the regular Yu-Gi-Oh? Because I don't remember no Jaden.
Yeah, I was more Pokemon fan than Yu-Gi-Oh.
I like both Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh. Wasn't season 3? It was the Battle City tournament. Wasn't it Battle City? I forgot. It's been such a long time since I watched Yu-Gi-Oh.
You said yes, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
See, I don't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. I saw like episode 1 of season 1, and then I didn't like it, so I stopped watching Yu-Gi-Oh! But back to the Monday Night Raw review.
Little trivia for you, Datila.
The dude's name wasn't even Yugi. It was Jaden Yugi. Okay. So, back to Raw review. So we get a Sammy's, and we're back. Dimension hopping. What are you talking about? Yu-Gi-Oh! GX or Yu-Gi-Oh? You know what? Let's just get back to this Raw review. Okay. So Sami Zayn is like, preparing for his match backstage, and Jey Uso was like, "Oh, you're gonna beat Braun Breaker, and then they're gonna go after the tag titles." I don't think they're gonna be able to go after the tag titles because I think Jey Uso's getting sent back to SmackDown.
Yeah, he's definitely getting sent back. Just like you said, we're gonna get the reunion of Jimmy and Jay, and then them culminating with Roman Reigns, and then they're gonna face the New Bloodline.
Mm-hmm. So, but I thought this was a good segment. I don't know when Jay's gonna go to SmackDown, but it's definitely nice to enjoy these Sami Jay interactions that we get them while Jay's still around.
It has to be around, calling it maybe like the end of September, October, because you want to get that build for Survivor Series. If that's going to be the War Games match, which it's possibly going to be.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think they're definitely going to trade him with Randy Orton, though. All right, last but certainly not least, we get a Judgment Day promo. And it's funny how they bring up there's no leaders, there's no egos, there's no Rhea, and there's no priests. Mm-hmm. And, like, basically, it was interesting because Finn Balor is, like, front and center, and everybody else is behind him. The fact that he said there's no leaders. Again, I got to see more from this Judgment Day. They got to definitely step up their game. So far, their booking is not doing them any favors.
Yeah. Hopefully book it up more.
On November 11th, I hope I get to hear War Games announced. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they're definitely going to announce War Games.
Oh, they are. All right, so we're just going to stop there because that was the end of it. So let's go from a 1 to Sean Spears' perfect 10. What would you rank tonight's show?
Well, the show was not as good as last week's show, which last week's show was a very good, entertaining show. Wasn't the best show tonight, but I'm going to have to give it a 6 out of 10. I know my rating was higher for last week's show.
Yeah, the ambulance was passing by. Carlito and JD are the whipping boys. Yeah, they are. It's because last year Randy Orton was teased. Oh, okay.
And also, Daniel gave you a request to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 3.
I can't watch Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Season 3 without watching the first 2 seasons. There's no way I'm watching Season 3.
Yeah, a little recommendation for you, Datila.
I'll watch Season 3 when you watch Zoolander.
I will watch it. Yeah. When it happens, me and Datila will be live on my channel for it.
Yeah. All right. So I give it a 6.5. I thought it was a pretty decent Raw. Not as strong as last week, but I thought it was decent overall. So where can people find you, Michael, as we get ready to sign off?
Well, guys, you can find me at my channel here, Michael101591. Subscribe to my channel. I do WWE reviews, my Raw reviews every Monday, which my review is up right now. So check my review out. SmackDown every Friday, AEW Dynamite every Wednesday, PLEs. I also do movie reviews, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K updates, old school commercials that I have on my channel. So subscribe to my channel and, have some fun. Also, Datila pops up on my channel from time to time, so you can catch her on my channel as well.
Right. As for myself, you can follow me on Twitter at @Datila_. I talk all things wrestling, WWE, AEW, TNA. I go live on my channel every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, occasional Saturdays and Sundays for all things TNA. Make sure you tune into Body Slam every Thursday as me and Burt Macklin discuss TNA. For those of you who don't know, next week is Power Morphicon. It starts Thursday. Well, technically starts Friday. But I'll be covering Power Morphicon all weekend long. I'll be doing the field trip Thursday, where I go to all the filming locations when they Power Rangers film here in LA. I'm going to cover Power Morphicon Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So make sure you like and subscribe so you guys can see all the cool content that I'm going to be uploading from Power Morphicon.
Awesome. I'm so looking forward to Datila going to Power Morphicon.
Thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continued support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I'll see you guys Wednesday after AEW Dynamite. Bye.
Bye, guys.